Today, we're diving into a story where a billionaire man disguised as a cleaner. But what he discovered changed his life forever. Welcome to African Tales, your ultimate destination for timeless African stories passed down through generations. From mystical folklore and powerful legends to moral parables and heroic journeys, our animated and narrated tales bring the rich oral traditions of Africa to life. Whether you're here for bedtime stories, cultural education, or simply love captivating storytelling, African Tales is where ancient wisdom meets modern entertainment. Before beginning, please hit the subscribe button so that you never miss out on new videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if the richest man in town lived as the poorest? Not for fun, not for adventure, but to find something money had never been able to buy: true love. This is the story of Chike, a billionaire with everything: mansions, cars, companies, but no peace, no love, no trust. So one day, he did the unthinkable. He vanished from his glamorous life and reappeared in a quiet village, broom in hand, wearing old slippers, as a cleaner. Why? To discover the heart of people when they think you have nothing to offer. And what he discovered changed his life forever. Chike wasn't just rich, he was wealthy beyond imagination. His name echoed across Lagos, owner of 5 tech companies, a hotel chain, and countless properties. At just 35, he had everything most men would pray for. But Chike was tired. Tired of women pretending to love him just for his name, his car, or his bank account. The last relationship had shattered him. Miriam, beautiful, educated, elegant, had been the woman of his dreams. Or so he thought. But after a year of dating, he caught her red-handed, laughing with her friends at a private spa, saying, "As long as he keeps paying the bills, I'll keep acting sweet." Those words burned. From that day, Chike made a decision that shocked even his closest friends. He would disappear. Not forever, just long enough to find someone who loved him for who he was, not what he had. Chike told no one. He paid a small real estate agent in secret to rent him a room in Ogudu village, several miles from the city. There, life was slow, pure, real. The village had no fast cars. No luxury malls, just sun, soil, and soul. Chike changed his name to Ebuka, wore old clothes, and offered to work as a cleaner at the local community center. The villagers were puzzled at first. "A young man like you, cleaning toilets?" an elder asked. But Ebuka only smiled and said, "Work is work, I'm just trying to eat." And that's how the billionaire became the janitor. One evening, as Chike swept leaves outside the village clinic, a soft voice behind him said, "Excuse me, can I borrow your broom?" He turned and saw her, Amaka. She wasn't dressed to impress. No makeup, a faded wrapper, slippers barely holding together, but her smile, her eyes, her kindness, they hit him harder than any luxury ever had. "Some goats knock down mangoes behind my mother's shed. I need to clean before she falls," she said. Chike handed her the broom wordlessly. Later that day, he saw her again, helping an old woman carry water, even though her own back seemed sore. That night, he couldn't sleep. She had no idea who he was. And yet, for the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a billionaire, not as a brand, but as a man, with a broom and a heartbeat. The next morning, she greeted him again. "You sweep here every day?" Chike nodded. "I see you don't talk much." "I'm new here, still learning the people." "Well, I'm Amaka. I grew up here. My mama sells akara at the junction. If you're ever hungry." He smiled. "Thank you." Amaka was different. She didn't flirt. She didn't ask for anything. She just existed honestly. Over the next few weeks, their conversations grew, from the weather to stories about village weddings, to their childhood memories. She would laugh freely, and Ebuka, found himself laughing too, for real. But not everyone was kind. Some of the young men in the village mocked Chike. "See cleaner boy. So fine but scrubbing gutters," one said. Even Amaka's friend Ngozi warned her. "Why are you always talking to that cleaner? Be careful, oh. He might be after your small money." But Amaka didn't care. "I don't judge people by their job," she replied. "He's respectful. That's what matters." Chike watched and listened. Every day became a test. Would she change if he gave her money? Would she gossip if he told her his story? Would she treat him differently if he suddenly dressed well? But she never flinched. Instead, one day she gave him something no one had in years, a hot meal wrapped in banana leaves. No expectations, no demands, just love in its purest form. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Each morning, Chike, still Ibuka to the villagers, would wake with a smile, eager to see Amaka. He had swept hundreds of compounds and mopped endless floors. But when she walked by, every broomstroke became a song. They talked often, laughed easily. Sometimes they sat beneath the big mango tree by the well, sharing boiled groundnuts and quiet stories. Amaka spoke of her dreams, small yet radiant. "One day I want to open a tailoring shop, not big, just enough to support Mama and myself. I like making things with my hands." Chike asked, "Why haven't you started?" She sighed. "No money. Mama's hospital bills take everything. But it's okay. Life has seasons." That touched him deeply. She never begged, never complained. She believed in hard work and in hope, and without even realizing it, Chike's heart was no longer his. But in every paradise, a storm brews. The village had eyes and tongues. One afternoon, a young man named Kunle, tall and boastful, cornered Amaka near the water pump. "You're always with that Ibuka. Do you know who he really is?" Amaka shrugged. "He's just a cleaner trying to live." "What's it to you?" Kunle sneered. "Cleaner? My dear, I've heard stories. He's hiding something. Men like that, they're dangerous." But Amaka wasn't swayed. "It's better to be around a good cleaner than a proud liar." Chike heard about the encounter. He smiled sadly. People always feared what they didn't understand. And now, the truth he was hiding might cost him everything. The next week, Chike took a small risk. Using an alias, he wired funds anonymously to pay off Amaka's mother's hospital debt. He knew the hospital manager from years ago and made him promise not to reveal the donor. One night, Amaka found out. She was overwhelmed. "Somebody paid Mama's bills," she cried. "But they won't say who. Just said a friend who respects her daughter's heart." Chike, sweeping nearby, simply whispered, "Maybe angels walk among us." She looked at him, eyes glistening. "Maybe. You're one of them." That night, Chike nearly confessed everything. He held the truth on the tip of his tongue. But then the fear gripped him. What if she hated him for lying? So he stayed silent. It happened suddenly. Late at night, as most of the village slept, a loud crack shattered the stillness. Fire. The bakery near the community center engulfed. Flames reached high into the sky, licking the edges of nearby homes. People screamed. Buckets flew. Chaos. Amaka's home, just 2 huts away, was in danger. Chike ran without thinking. With strength no one knew he had, he smashed windows, carried out gas cylinders, directed villagers. And then, when the fire threatened to spread further, he did the unthinkable. He called in a private fire service. Within 15 minutes, 2 red trucks sped into the village. Brand new, city-level equipment. The villagers froze. Who has that kind of power? One elder whispered. The fire died, attention turned to Chike, the cleaner, who somehow summoned elite services. That night, the first thread of his disguise unraveled. The next morning, the village buzzed, whispers, theories, questions, and then it happened. As Chike helped rebuild part of the bakery roof, a sleek black SUV drove into the village. Out stepped Aide, Chike's longtime friend and business associate. "Boss," he said, too loudly. "Are you all right? Everyone's been looking for you. The board is in chaos. Lagos is panicking." Silence. Amaka stood nearby, holding a basket of bread. She heard every word. Her eyes widened. "Boss?" Chike's heart dropped. He walked over, slowly, gently took her hands. "I was going to tell you. You lied," she whispered. "I didn't lie. I just didn't say who I was. I wanted to know if someone could love me when I had nothing." The basket fell from her hands. Amaka didn't shout, didn't cry. She just walked away. For days, Chike didn't see her. He stayed in his hut, confused, wounded. The man who could buy anything now couldn't buy peace. He sent her messages, no reply, sent gifts. They were returned. He even wrote her a letter. "I became poor to find truth. You gave me truth, but I forgot the value of honesty. Still, nothing." Until one afternoon, a young boy knocked at his door. "She's leaving," the boy said. "Going to her aunt's in Enugu." Chike's chest tightened. He ran. Chike didn't wait. He jumped into the SUV Aide had brought and told the driver, "Take me to Enugu, now." For hours, the car sped through dusty roads, weaving past buses, potholes, and markets, all while his heart raced faster than the engine. What would he say? Would she even listen? As the sun dipped behind the hills, the car arrived at a small compound in a Kala layout, Enugu. There she was, Amaka, loading a small bag into a rusted taxi. Chike got out, breathless. "Amaka, wait!" She froze, her eyes filled with emotion. "I'm not angry because you're rich," she said quietly. "I'm hurt because you tested me, like I was some experiment." He walked closer. "I wasn't testing you. I was protecting myself. Every woman I met before loved my wallet, not me." Tears welled in her eyes. "And you think love should come from a trick?" "No," he whispered. "I think love should come from truth. But I didn't know how to believe in it. Until I met you." Silence. Then she spoke. "Prove it. Don't just say it." Chike took her hand and knelt right there in the dirt. Not with a ring, not with cameras, just honesty. "I will spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of your heart. But if you walk away now, I'll understand." Amaka looked at him, stunned. "You'd kneel for a village girl in slippers?" He smiled. "I'd kneel for the woman who made me feel human again." Slowly, she knelt beside him. "Then stand with me," she whispered. "Let's build something real." News spread fast. The billionaire had returned, and he was marrying Amaka, the Akara seller's daughter. Many doubted it, some mocked, but others celebrated. Chike didn't care. He brought her to Lagos, introduced her to his board members, who blinked in disbelief at her humility. He took her shopping, but she refused anything flashy. "I want to earn my life, not borrow it," she said. Eventually, he bought her a small tailoring shop, her lifelong dream, and helped her set up the brand Amaka. It flourished. Her designs became popular, not because of his name, but because of her grace. But fate wasn't done testing them. One morning, Chike received a call. His accounts were frozen. His business partner, Ade, the same man who came to find him in the village, had siphoned billions while Chike was away. The empire was collapsing. Chike panicked. Lawsuits followed. Board members abandoned him. Investors pulled out. For the first time, he truly became poor, and this time, it wasn't a disguise. One night, sitting in their now modest apartment, Chike buried his head in his hands. "I'm sorry, Amaka. I dragged you into this. You didn't sign up for a broke man." Amaka stood behind him, wrapped her arms around his shoulders and whispered, "I signed up for you. Rich or poor, Ebuka. Or Chike, you're mine." They sold their cars, moved to a smaller flat, ate from the same roadside vendors Amaka once served, and somehow, they were happier. But Chike wasn't the type to stay down. With Amaka's help, he built again. This time, smaller, slower, wiser. He started an NGO to help jobless youth in rural villages. People remembered the man who once cleaned toilets in Ogudu, and they trusted him. Amaka's fashion brand expanded across states. Years later, they weren't as rich as before, but they were respected, admired, and deeply in love. 10 years later, Chike returned to Ogudu village with Amaka and their 2 children, Kamsi and Uzo. They stood under the old mango tree. He looked around, then whispered, "This is where I found everything I was missing." Amaka smiled. "This is where you swept your way into my heart." They sat beneath the tree, holding hands, watching the sun set, just as it did that first day. Dear listener, they say money builds mansions, but character builds homes. They say wealth buys attention, but humility earns love. Chike found true love, not in high places, but in lowly ones. He disguised himself as a poor man and discovered the wealth of a woman's heart. So, if you're searching for love, remember, the richest souls are often dressed in the humblest clothes. Chike and Amaka had built a new kind of empire, not one made of glass towers or private jets, but of people, of stories, of second chances. Together, they launched the Ebuka Foundation, named after the identity Chike once wore. Its mission? To train underprivileged youths in trades, sewing, farming, carpentry, and tech. They didn't just fund it, they taught in it. Chike swept the classrooms every morning before lectures began, and when people laughed at the billionaire holding a broom, he just smiled. "This broom gave me my life back, but the past always circles back." One day, a stranger arrived at their training center. It was Kunle, the boastful village man who once warned Amaka about Ebuka. He looked different now, humbled, worn. "I lost everything," he confessed. "My pride, my job, my family left. I came here to beg for work." Chike looked at him, then offered him a seat. "No work today," he said softly. "Just a warm meal." They ate quietly, no judgment, no speeches. Later that night, Chike told Amaka, "Sometimes we have to be the person we wish we met when we were broken." Years passed. Chike aged like wisdom, white-bearded, gentle, but still strong. One evening, his son Uzo handed him a letter. "Papa, this came in from Lagos, a woman named Ada. She says she used to be your secretary." Chike opened the envelope. Slowly, inside was a simple note. "Dear Chike, I'm proud of who you became. You showed the world that power isn't in money. It's in how we treat people when no one is watching." It brought tears to his eyes. He looked out the window where Amaka was teaching young girls to sew. "I became rich the day I met her," he whispered. One rainy afternoon, Amaka fell ill. She was rushed to the hospital, the same one Chike once secretly paid off. Doctors worked tirelessly. Days passed in blurred prayers and silences. Chike never left her side. He whispered stories into her ear about mango trees, Akara stalls, and a boy named Ebuka who found gold in the dust. Finally, one morning, her eyes fluttered open. "You still talk too much," she croaked. He laughed, wiping his tears. "And you still make my heart race." 10 years after their first wedding, Chike and Amaka decided to remarry. Not with tuxedos or red carpets, but back in Ogudu, under the mango tree, with the villagers who knew their roots. Children ran with palm fronds, women sang, men drummed. It was called the wedding of the people, because it wasn't just a celebration of two souls. It was the union of truth and love, of humility and legacy. Before Chike died at the ripe age of 82, he wrote one final message. Don't chase riches that disappear when the wind blows. Instead, sweep the paths that lead to real treasure, character, compassion, and one heart that sees you, even when you wear dust. He was buried beneath the mango tree, next to Amaka, who joined him 2 years later. On their shared gravestone were carved just 4 words. He swept. She stayed. Dear listener, this wasn't just a love story. It was a mirror. In a world obsessed with power and image, Chike and Amaka teach us that love lives in the unseen places. In the quiet gestures, in the dusty corners, in the eyes that see beyond the surface. So when life asks you to choose between pride and connection, choose the broom. Choose the village. Choose the heart that stays. Because sometimes, the poorest man in rags holds the richest heart of all. Years after Chike and Amaka's passing, their children, Kamsi and Uzo, took charge of the foundation. The mango tree under which their parents met had become sacred ground. Villagers came from faraway places just to sit beneath it. Some came to pray. Others came to remember, and some, like a young boy named Muna, came because he had no one else. Muna, an orphan who had run away from abuse, found himself sleeping beneath the tree one night, hungry and cold. Uzo found him the next morning. Instead of scolding him, he gave him food, wrapped a blanket around his shoulders and said, "You're safe here. You're family now." Just like his father once had. Kamsi turned her mother's sewing shop into something more, a free academy for young girls. She called it Ama's Touch. Girls came in barefoot, timid and unsure. They left as fashion designers, business owners, leaders. Each sewing machine had a small plaque on it, sewn with love, stitched by destiny. One day a young girl asked Kamsi, "Was your mother rich?" Kamsi smiled. She had no silver, no gold, but her heart was the greatest inheritance I ever received. One rainy season, the village nearly flooded. The river swelled, homes were damaged, and food was scarce. Instead of waiting for help from the city, the villagers united under the spirit of the Ebuka Foundation. Uzo organized food drives. Kamsi hosted fundraisers. Even the wealthiest people in Lagos contributed, because the story of Chike and Amaka had become legendary. The headline of the national newspaper read, "The cleaner who cleaned the nation's soul." To keep their story alive, Uzo and Kamsi wrote a book titled, "He Swept, She Stayed." It chronicled the journey of their parents, from a roadside romance to an empire of kindness. The book was read in schools across Africa. It became a symbol of hope, proof that true love doesn't wear labels, it wears character. Every year, on the anniversary of their wedding, villagers lit candles under the mango tree. People shared how the story of Chike and Amaka inspired them. Some chose to forgive. Some chose to start again. Some chose to love, without conditions. It wasn't just a tale anymore, it was a movement. One day, a man in a suit showed up at the foundation. He claimed to be the grandson of Ade, Chike's former business partner who betrayed him. "I came to apologize," he said. "My grandfather always regretted what he did, but he died ashamed." He handed them an envelope. Inside, a deed to a plot of land in Lagos, worth millions. It was a gift to rebuild what was once stolen. Uzo and Kamsi didn't sell it. They turned it into a technology campus for youth training named Ada's Redemption. Forgiveness had come full circle. In the end, Chike was never the richest man in terms of assets. He was the richest in legacy. His wealth wasn't counted in currency, but in the thousands of children lifted from the streets. The marriage is healed by the truth in his story, the love that conquered ego, pride, and betrayal. Amaka once sold a kara by the roadside, but she fed the soul of a broken billionaire, and together, they changed the world. So, dear listener, if you've ever been overlooked, if you've ever been hurt, doubted, or taken for granted, remember, you are one moment away from being someone's miracle. Like Chike, like Amaka, like the broom that swept more than just floors. It swept two hearts together and cleaned the world with love. Thanks for watching Under the Golden African Sun. Our tale comes to a close. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate the rich tapestry of African heritage. The drumbeat of another adventure awaits. Until next time. Stay happy. Goodbye.